Today I'm going to take you on a ride along in my car. It's something I searched around for a really long time prior to doing my Th400 swap. So I'm going to take you on a ride along so you can see what it's like to cruise around and drive on the highway with a Th400 Corvette. All right, we're inside. Here we go. So just so you know, I have the AC on right now. It's pretty warm here in South Texas, and I'll walk you through what I'm doing. So I'm using a PPP shifter. This is fully manual. It does not have air or any kind of electronic solenoid on it. So I'll be doing all manual shifting, nothing crazy, just cruising around. So here we go. Now, when I did this, I wanted to make sure, originally when I put this setup together, I wanted to make sure that I could retain air condition and everything, and been able to. So it's been a true blessing. Now, just while I'm at the stoplight, give a quick rundown. I have a 315 gear ratio, ring and pinion. Come on, guy. And I'm on a 28-inch tall tire. So I'll let you know how fast I'm going as I drive. I'm in first, second, third, and that's it. So, and this will take me all the way up to 200 miles an hour, a little bit over 200 miles an hour, which is plenty, more than enough for what I do, more than enough for the street. So the car is really comfortable with the full exhaust out the rear. You're able to hear me. I'm able to talk to a passenger, and I can have my windows rolled up with the AC on it and actually enjoy it. So right now I'm going 60 miles an hour, RPM at about 2200, 2300. I'll lean into it a little bit. Now I'm going 75 mile an hour at about 2400 RPM. So before I did this, I looked all over the internet trying to find other people who had Th400s in the car, would either daily drive them or would just cruise them around. And it was really hard. And one of the best videos, or one of the only really good videos I could find, was John Dock. Man, I forgot which car it was. He goes through a lot of cars, but he had a Th400 and I don't know if it was a Camaro or something, and he drove it around and it looked pretty good. It looked pretty calm and together. So that's pretty much the only thing I had to go off of. And so after I put this together and I got on the highway and I was able to get everything lined out, man, it was really nice. And so those of you that I spoke to so far about the swap, you know, I've given you my best advice based on everything that I went through to get this to run right. And initially I had a couple of issues when the transmission wasn't set up correctly, and I got all that lined out, and so I let FTI handle all my transmission stuff. Another thing that concerned me living in South Texas is it gets hot. You know, today it got up to 90 degrees. It's about 88 outside right now, and I wanted to be able to drive on the highway and make back-to-back hits. You know, the way we roll race down here is, you know, we'll line up, we'll make a hit. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes somebody spins and get cold. Might have to run it back, and I wanted to be able to keep transmission temperatures in control to where I can make more than one hit in a row and not worry about transmission temperatures. And when you have a Th400 or any auto, you know transmission temperature is the most important thing. So right now I'm at 149, and prior to starting this, I drove the car, and so it was already warmed up, but I have a gigantic transcooler, and that thing works wonders. It's enabled me to be able to make hits, not have to worry about slowing down or stopping to cool the car off, I can make a full hit to 185, 90 mile an hour, slow down and run it back, right away. And I don't have any issues. I don't have to cool down, or I don't have to pull over or anything like that. And I've driven all the way up to Austin for a race night that we have sometimes around, and driven up to Austin, made hits up there, drove it all the way back home. No issues, no temperature issues or anything like that, And so that's, to me, that was really, really important to be able to not worry about temperature issues. So that was huge. That was huge for me. And so, as you can see, driving on the highway, it's not that bad. I'm going 70, and I'm at 2,500 RPMs. My converter's pretty tight, but I wanted it to be tight because I knew I'd eventually be adding more power to it, but it could benefit from loosening up a little bit to get out of the hole, because my little baby motor does have a hard time getting on the trans brake. So I do use nitrous to get on the trans brake. But it works. And it's better to have a converter that's too tight than too loose, especially as you start adding more power to the car. So on the big end, I don't have a lot of slip, and then cruising around, like right now, my RPMs don't float a whole lot. They stay in check. I'm going 60 miles an hour, and you can hear how calm the car sounds. It doesn't sound bad at all. And so I'm going to come up to a stop here in a minute so you can see what it sounds like to slow down and pull over. All right. So I'm hitting this turnaround. I'm in first. I'll do some more stop and go driving in a minute, but first gear, I'll lean into it a little bit. First, second, third. So nice to drive. Now, I'll tell you a little bit more about my shifter, because I've had some people asking me about the mounting of it and stuff like that. My shifter is mounted on, I have a PPP shifter. It's mounted on top of on top of my tunnel. So it's basically just mounted to where your factory shifter goes. So it does stick up a little bit higher. That's why you can see it here. It's a little bit higher. It's not obnoxiously high, but it's a little bit higher, and I've grown to like it. I enjoy it, but I know some folks like them a little bit further down, and you can do that. You basically just have to, create a bracket to put the shifter further down. And there's some clean setups out there, that have really nice shifters mounted low, and then there's some people who don't like that, and they want the shifter up high because they want to be able to click it like this, or just have it close by for their comfort. It's all personal preference. It just depends on the person, really. So some people like the shifter to be high up, some like it to be low down. So it is what it is. But that's really up to the person. However they want to mount the shifter. So I did all of this stuff myself. So I'm not gonna sit here and say that everything's perfect in terms of making it look like some of these show cars. That's not. This is a race car that I've kept streetable as possible and as original as I can with my own two hands and a lot of people's help, just to make it the best that I can make it. So, and as you've seen over the years on YouTube and all the racing videos, it's run great. It's been a great car. It's one of the only Corvettes out there that I know that has put in a lot of work consistently over many years. I'm going to slow down right here while I'm on this on-ramp, see if I can get just a little lean into it. So I'm in first gear, so the RPMs are really just idling. And so now I'm pretty high up, about 4,000, so I'm going to lean into it. So we're moving right there. A little half throttle. They don't want to lean into it too crazy. It was about half throttle, 3/4 throttle. Made about 15 pounds. 15.3. So, you know, that's not a whole lot. So now they look down. Transmission temperature is 163. 163. I'll do another one. So a lot of people, this is what a lot of people start at. 60 miles an hour, 60, 65. I'm in second gear right now. Brake boosting. Getting it up a little bit. It's gonna hit pretty good. Slowing it down. Made a little bit more there. Made 17 pounds, but I shipped it at 5,800. You know, so when the Th400 gets warmed up and it's wide open throttle, oh man, it shifts so smooth. You don't even notice the gear changes. It just feels like one smooth gear. Coming from a stick that basically was violent, as you know, super violent, bang you around every time you're letting off, no lift shifting. Just imagine the load on the driveline that everything goes through every time you no lift shift, and when you're making 1,000 horsepower, that's why stuff breaks, because it's so hard on the driveline. But with the auto, everything is just super smooth, and you never have to worry about unloading, and that's the best thing. That's what keeps stuff alive. Move out of this car's way, and that's what helps things live. I love that. It's just way more comfortable to drive. For those of you who are on the street, to me, it's way more in control on the street than trying to do 2, 3, 4 on a stick. It's just better. And if you add air or electronic solenoid to your shifter, you can keep both hands on the wheel, you know. And usually when I go to third, you know, I've got both hands on my wheel and I'm focused, because that's when the party gets started. Because I go 2, 3. Somewhere around 130 something miles an hour, 125, 130 miles an hour, just depending on the surface and what I'm spinning it to. And I go 2, 3, I click it in high gear, and I got both hands on the wheel, so I can focus. It's not a very comfortable feeling having 1,000 horsepower car shifting, no lift shifting, whatever you're doing, and you're one-handing it. Because there's some people that will tell you when you start making a lot of power, you have a tendency to, I mean, some people rest their arm here, but you have a tendency to want to yank on the wheel and stuff like that when you're no lift shifting and the car's moving. It's hard. It's hard. And it looks cool on the outside, but it's dangerous as hell on the inside when you're making big power. So I've made 2 or 3 hits pretty close in time while I've been talking to you. So within the last, 3 or 4 minutes, transmission's at 170, and like I said, you know, the outside temperature right now is about 85 degrees. So it's not crazy, but you know, I've done this in 100 degrees. You know, because in South Texas, you know, we try to wait really long, really late to race because of some of the temperatures. But it doesn't matter. I've driven the car in the middle of the day, 103 degrees outside in a July afternoon, and I got the AC on, and my coolant temperature is 195. And if I just cruise it, and the temperature won't go above, trans temperature, it won't go above 175, even when it's 100 degrees outside. So that's what I like to see, and that's what makes those of you who do dragon drives and stuff like that, I mean, that's what you need. That's what you need to keep your car alive. Is you don't want to worry about transmission temperatures and stuff like that. It makes things nice. I'll do a little lane change. So usually when I downshift, I try to just let off the gas a little bit. Second gear, just roll in there. Still got 6-piston brakes on the car, so I've been calm on the brakes, but anytime I start hauling butt, it doesn't make me too nervous, because even with skinnies up front, if I get on the brakes, it slows down really nice. Let this car go. I want to try to exit real quick. I exit real quick so I can do a little bit of stop and go driving with you. A little bit of stop and go driving. All right. I'm just gonna slow down and come to almost a complete stop. I am on the road. Here we go. Just so you can see what it's like. So I'm stopped. A little bit of chatter you hear is my RPM flex plate. Completely stopped. AC on, taking off. Smooth as butter. I actually enjoy driving the auto way more than I ever enjoyed driving the stick. I had this car since it was completely stock. It was original, and even original or with the OEM clutch, like an LS7 clutch and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun to drive. It was very comfortable, but it was just start getting a little bit older, and clutch in, clutch out. It's fun. It's a nostalgic thing to do, but I can tell you, driving around town with this is way better. Sometimes I get lazy and I'll take off in second, or I'll just leave the damn thing in third, and I'll slow down to third like real slow, and the turbo pulls it along. You don't have to floor it or nothing like that. You just slow it down, and it's fine. It'll lug you along. I mean, you see those big power cars that do second gear leave, and they're fine. Speaking of that, I have the factory ratios in this. So this is a 248, 148, 10. So 248 first gear, 148 second gear, and of course 10 final drive with a 315 28-inch tall tire. So that works perfect. I'm a downshift. So when you downshift, the RPMs just float. So right now they're just floating. They're waiting on me to figure out what I'm going to do. So now you can see how RPMs jumped up a little bit. We're at 3,000. I'm going to slow down even more and put it down into first gear. So it's in first gear now. It's everything's floating. I'm waiting on this car to scoot up. Everything's floating. Once I get back on the gas, RPMs will jump up. See? There she is. I'm going to brake boost it a little bit just to light it up. Slow it down right there. You see, it's so easy and comfortable, especially if you're a turbo car, blower car, whatever. Once you get things dialed in and stuff like that, it gets really enjoyable to drive. So that's really about it for this one. I don't want to ramble too long. If you can think of any questions that you have about what it's like to drive a Th400 car, I know a lot of people have always wondered, can you daily drive it? Can you, daily commute in it or whatever? Yeah, hell yeah, you can. Of course I don't, because I cherish this car a lot, and I don't want a grocery cart hitting it, and I don't want it outside of a restaurant. But absolutely you can. I have my air conditioning's on. I'm 201 coolant temperature. I'm 176 degrees transmission temp. So you absolutely can. And depending on the gear ratio that you choose and the power level you make, you just got to get everything to line up right. If you do everything properly, you absolutely can daily drive or cruise it and enjoy it, drag and drive it, and without having any issues. And so I hope this video was informative, or at least kind of gives you a inside look on what it's like to drive a car like this. Because I know there's not a lot of info out there on them. So hopefully this was helpful. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. Instagram's probably the best place to reach me. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to take